How's it going, everyone? Today I'm going to be talking about the salute format or salute report, which is a report that you use to talk about enemy troop movements or enemy units when you're doing stuff like reconnaissance operations. And this will be something that you're sending up to higher to report on those movements, right? So it's really simple and doesn't require a bunch of tactical gear. You just need a pen and a pad of paper, and then maybe a pair of binoculars or something like that. And yeah, let's get into what this is. All right, so all the salute format is a way to break down how you're viewing an enemy unit, let's just say, and how to accurately report all of the pertinent pieces of information that, say, your higher headquarters or something like that would want to know, right? So, and this can be done, you could be all ducked out in a ghillie suit in the bushes, finding this stuff, or you could be walking around dressed in civilian clothes, finding this stuff, acting as a spotter, as we've seen over in Ukraine. There's people just walking around in this war zone and stuff like that. So it doesn't take much for one of those people to just accurately size up the enemy force and then report this to the Ukrainian military, for example. So just one example from current day events right now. So S stands for size, right? Size of the enemy unit. Is it a platoon? Is it a squad? Is it a battalion of soldiers? Is it 10 tanks? Is it 3 aircraft flying over? You want to know kind of the size of the force so that you know what you're dealing with. Essentially, how large of a unit you're dealing with can tell you a lot about the logistics that's going to be involved for your enemy, and all kinds of good shit like that, right? So A for activity, right? What are they doing?
What are you doing on computer? Go outside, so beautiful!
Are they staying where you saw them or whatever? Are they fighting? Are they just marching somewhere else? What direction are they going? Stuff like that. Just kind of what the fuck are they doing? It'll give you an idea of maybe what they're going to do next, or how your force should respond to their activity, right? So activity, important. All right, let's go on to L, location. This is just, where did you spot them? Oh, I saw them, in this village, and they're heading north on this highway. It doesn't have to be like you give like an 8-digit grid of their location or something like that, or their latitude and longitude, whatever. It can be a very general thing. If you want to say they're on this street or whatever the fuck, obviously in places like Afghanistan, that's not really viable because there's not a lot of streets and roads unless you're in like Kabul or something like that. So that's like more of my experience is like, an L would be a grid location that we would give. But again, if you're not in Afghanistan or a country like that, maybe you're in a more developed country, again, like Ukraine, where there's actual roads and highways and towns and stuff like that that are all named, and there's maps of this stuff. You can give more information kind of based on that. You could give a grid as well, but even just generic information like they're in this town currently can help headquarters type units and stuff like that track potentially their progress, because maybe they got a salute report about the same size unit at some town that was just south of there 6 hours ago, and now they see the same unit. They're getting a salute report about a unit of the same exact size and composition and whatnot doing the same thing, and they were heading north, and now they're in a town that's further north, so they can kind of battle track where that unit's heading and maybe kind of figure out where they're going, stuff like that. So location is important. It doesn't have to be a grid, like an 8-digit grid or something like that, but again, just giving a location so that your side basically knows where they are. All right, moving on to U, we have unit or uniform, or both. This is just going to be if you can figure out based on their the camouflage that they're wearing and stuff like that, or their patches that they have on their uniforms, what unit they're from. This is going to again help battle track who's where for your higher headquarters, and it can kind of tell you what maybe they're planning on doing, if it's a special operations unit versus a tank unit versus a reserve unit, stuff like that. So it's good to figure that information out, and understanding the enemy's patch system and things like that. Most militaries have sort of designators for different units. The U.S. military has different patches for our different divisions and things like that. So we can coordinate and kind of like deconflict shit and know who each other are on the battlefield. It's important to know who your enemies are on the battlefield as well. So that's important. And then uniform, different units can have different camos. So even if you can't see their patches and stuff like that, the type of camo that they're wearing and stuff like that could tell you what unit they're from, potentially. Moving on to T for time. All right, this is pretty self-explanatory. What time did you see them at this location and doing those activities and such? Because you may not be able to give this report for hours after you've kind of recorded the information. Maybe you had to leave the area and then pass it up. So an accurate time of when they were there doing that thing is extremely important to give context for the rest of what you're reporting here, right? So time, important. Last one, E, for equipment. Okay, this is just going to be any equipment that they have with them. Again, like you're going to talk about, like, okay, they had 3 T-72 type tanks with them and 4 BTRs. It could be, it's a foot patrol and you see they have 3X anti-tank weapons or something like that. They're carrying them in their rucks or something. You could just say standard infantry loadout with light machine guns and RPGs, something like that. You can get really in depth if they have some sort of specialized equipment, or it can just be kind of a general impression of, oh, it's a standard like infantry platoon type of weapons. Again, this is just to give more color to the report, and if there's something special or specific that they're carrying with them that you think people need to know about, this is going to be one of those things. Like, are they flying drones overhead? Or are they walking around with some sort of like computer system or something like that where they might be controlling drones overhead? That's important to know. Do they have 3 fuel trucks following their tanks or something like that? That could tell you something about what's going on and how far they're planning to go. Stuff like that. So all that like extra equipment, this is just kind of like the extra filler info to kind of round out the idea of what this unit is. Equipment is going to be really important just to kind of, it's going to help you kind of determine maybe what their activity, maybe not at the moment is, but it might be later if they're just transiting. Well, this might inform you as to what their activity eventually will be, stuff like that. So equipment, important. It's all important, but really this is just a standardized format for, explaining what a group of bad individuals is doing, basically, in your fucking country or the country that you're deployed in and you're observing. Again, the observation can be, a military, you're wearing fucking camo and stuff like that, and you're all like crawling around through the bushes all fucking high speed. Or again, it could be civilian spotters dressed in normal clothes, just walking around on the streets and, covertly taking note of what's going on and maybe jotting it down on a little notepad or something like that. And then they get on their, their cell phone or their radio or something and send it up, They don't even have to be armed or anything like that. You can still be useful in combat. So, salute reports. You should probably know this. I know this is going to make some people butthurt, and I know I harp on this shit all the time, but if you own body armor and you don't know this right here, you're wrong. Take it easy.